So Marvel Rivals Zombies game mode has been out, for a couple days now, with a couple different difficulties. You have your standard, normal, medium, and hard, then you have your nightmare modes. And in this video in particular, we're talking about Nightmare 4. And when they say nightmare for the Nightmare 4 difficulty, they really mean it. Literally everything in the entire game that spawns on your screen will instantly one-tap you. And no matter what you do, you end up dying time and time again, and it can be extremely frustrating and get extremely tiring as well. So I'm giving you all my tips and tricks, things to think about when playing the game mode. And of course, if you're new here or find yourself going back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed, why not? It's completely free and it greatly helps out the channel. As well as, if you find this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor, hit that like button, greatly helps out as well, and of course, hype the video up as well. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. Now, in Nightmare 4, team composition actually does matter in a way. The team composition I ran, and that a majority of the people that are completing the difficulty ran, are 4 Blades. And look, I get it, there's other characters you can play, but undoubtedly, Blade is probably the best option just because how long the character can live for, the amount of damage the character can do, and just how easy it is to use him and kite the enemies around with him. So after getting your team composition set up, you have your 4 Blades ready to go, you first need to upgrade them. By now, if you're playing the Nightmare mode or you're just playing the zombie game mode in general, you should have upgrades for Blade or for the character in general or any of the characters. But anyways, when it comes to the upgrades for Blade, you really want to focus on Swift Execution, which is the red upgrade or the red weapon upgrade. It's his primary weapon, not his shift, not his dash. You want to focus on the red upgrades, which is his primary attack. So when you go to traits, you're pretty much maxing out the full left-hand side of the traits. Once you have it fully maxed out, then you can start putting them into the blue side because you have leftover points. That's the whole idea. Basically, what it gives you is increased attack range, attack speed, attack damage, and lifesteal, which is highly needed if you want to beat Nightmare 4. Because like I said, literally everything will one-tap you, so having that lifesteal is a necessity. Now, one thing about Blade is the blessing priority, in my opinion. Blessing priority is very important and very crucial because when you start Nightmare 4, you spawn in with 150 credits or 150 moon points, whatever you really want to call it. Now, you don't just want to buy everything or gamble away everything like I typically do. You want to focus on one particular blessing. And like I previously stated, that is the Swift Execution, which is his primary attack. But there are a couple key cards to keep in mind. First of all, On the Hunt, which is the Ancestral Sword damage plus 10%, great choice. Swift Edge, Ancestral Sword attack speed. Sweeping Edge, Ancestral Sword attack range. And On the Hunt again. All of these are your base cards. You want these 3 and max them out as best as possible. For the most part, if you find yourself going to cards that say 1000-fold slash, stay away from those cards. You do not want 1000-fold slash. That is your ultimate. For the most part, in this game mode, you want to stay away from using your ultimates. And that can be pretty much said for every single character, except for the exception of Thor and Jeff for the most part. Because when you ult as Blade, you actually lose a ton of DPS and you risk yourself dying in the midst of all of the chaos. Now, trust me, if you're using your ult in earlier stages or easier difficulty, it can be useful, get a lot of impact, but in Nightmare 4, definitely stay away from using your ultimate and just highly focus on just primary attacking and spinning. So again, every single Blade card, for the most part, for his primary weapon is extremely good. Again, you want to stay away from the 1000-fold slash. Again, that is your ultimate. Stay away from that because you're never going to be using your ultimate in the first place. So there's really no reason to take those cards and waste those points. That being said, there is one card in the Swift Execution that you really need to try to hunt and get, and that is Blade Dance, where it enhances Daywalker Dash, which is the shift. Hitting enemies triggers spinning slashes. Stacking increases the number of spins. Basically, what this is telling you is that if you've managed to get that card, it's going to be increasing your DPS because it activates your shift while using your primary attack. This is a very key essential to maintaining your HP and getting a ton of lifesteal. But besides that, besides getting that Blade Dance, some of the biggest things you want to max out quickly is the attack range, the attack speed, and the attack damage. The attack range is very good, I guess. around round 3, it's a very good thing to have because you can maintain your distance and you're not going to be getting one-tapped by a lot of the characters. Now, in terms of picking any of the Daywalker Dash cards, the only one I would really recommend is the Night Runner one, and that's the Daywalker Dash cooldown. Basically, easier cooldown, faster cooldown. You get it back a lot faster so you can maintain the DPS. This is an option you can do if you want to, but for the most part, just really focus on the primary weapon, which is the melee. Now, this next thing is all about playing the game mode in general, and it's about training. If you don't know what training is, maybe you're familiar with COD zombies or not, but it's basically just getting a ton of the zombies or the PvE characters all grouped up into one area, and you're basically training them around the map, keeping them constantly following you while evading your teammates so that you can slowly whittle them down. This tactic allows you to keep an eye on pretty much all the enemies on one side of the map. You have 4 different quadrants of the map, so you can have 4 different trains with, each blade. This is the strategy my team employed. Of course, the other players might do something else and find success with that, which is completely fine, but this was the easiest tactic I found as well. And in terms of fighting the bosses, for instance, as Scarlet, you could either go all together going around the same way, which is an okay strategy, or basically you stand still doing DPS, you see the orb, this stun orb spawn for a second, then you move to the side and you stop, move to the side, stop, move to the side, stop. You get the idea, repeat the process. And don't worry, you're gonna die a lot, nobody is perfect, expect to die a ton. Now, a little bit more about Nightmare 4 is that unlike the other difficulties, 3, 2, 1, and so on, you only have about 5 seconds to choose a power-up before the next round starts, unless it's a boss round, the boss round being 5, 10, 15, and of course 20, you have 10 seconds to make a decision of what to choose. That's why we just go for colors, because in those 10 seconds, going straight for the red power-ups is always the best option. Another thing to keep in mind is that you never, ever really want to use your ultimate in a majority of the rounds, mainly due to the fact that you lose a lot of DPS, and when you ult, you're pretty much stationary and the enemies will just run up and one-tap you. So it's in your best interest not to use your ultimate. That's why I talked about previously, you want to stay away from the power-ups that empower your ultimate, because you're really going to never be using them, so it's just a waste of points and tokens, whatever you want to call it. Here is a better example of training if you're not familiar with the topic. As you can see, I'm kind of going around the Avengers logo area, keeping all of these enemies on top of me and just slowly going around. Hopefully none of your teammates that you're playing with will crash into your train, but the idea is to keep going around pillars the longest route to you so that you can maintain maximum distance and just keep them all together. It's probably, again, the best way to do it. Now, on round 15, it's a little bit harder. You get Scarlet and Namor. For whatever reason, the Namor takes about 1 billion times to destroy this Grizz to when you can finally damage him. So my team thought that focusing Scarlet was probably the better option, because Namor just takes way too long to spawn squids. So getting Scarlet out of the equation as fast as possible is a big thing. But honestly, in my opinion, that's essentially how you beat Nightmare 4. The biggest things: prioritizing the right blessings or the right cards, making sure you're leveled up on your stats page or your traits, whatever you want to describe it as, and of course, you're focusing and training the enemies. This is probably the easiest way to accomplish Nightmare 4, at least in my personal opinion. And if you have your own strategies, tips, tricks, or maybe even compositions, let me know in the comments down below. The game mode, even though it is rather difficult, is actually pretty fun in comparison to a lot of the other game modes Marvel Rivals has released. So definitely, if you're hesitant on reinstalling Marvel Rivals, or you're playing Marvel Rivals and haven't tried it out yet, definitely encourage you trying it out. Look, yes, Blade is probably the best character to play, but there is other characters to choose from if you just want to play the game mode for fun. But if you're going for max difficulty, triple or quad Blade, probably the right approach. But like I said, if you have your own unique strategies, your own ideas, your own tips, your own tricks, leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And maybe if people are struggling, also give some tips or tricks to them as well. This video was entirely made to help you guys out if you want to be at difficulty level 4. So like I said, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe if you're new and you haven't already. make sure to hype up the video as well. And if you want to see any other Marvel Rivals content, this is the place for you. But regardless, I hope you have a safe and great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.